What rich people do in their 20s that the poor don't. Have you ever wondered why some people seem destined for financial success, while others struggle their entire lives despite working just as hard? What if I told you the foundation for wealth is often established in your 20s, through specific decisions and habits that most people completely overlook? What if the difference between financial freedom and financial struggle isn't about where you start, but about 7 specific actions that the wealthy take during this critical decade? The statistics are eye-opening. According to research from Fidelity Investments, 88% of millionaires are self-made, having built their wealth from scratch rather than inheriting it. And the vast majority established key financial habits before age 30 that compounded dramatically over time. This isn't random luck. It's the result of deliberate choices available to anyone willing to make them. Consider Mark Cuban, now worth over $4.7 billion. In his 20s, while his friends were spending on nightlife and status symbols, Cuban lived in a crowded apartment with multiple roommates, ate cheap meals, and drove used cars. But crucially, he simultaneously invested relentlessly in his knowledge, skills, and early business ventures. He reflects, "The best investment I ever made was investing in myself, first by learning, then by creating businesses." This philosophy laid the foundation for his extraordinary wealth creation over subsequent decades. In today's video, what rich people do in their 20s that the poor don't, I'll reveal the 7 specific actions that separate those who build substantial wealth from those who remain financially trapped, regardless of income level. These aren't mysterious secrets accessible only to the privileged few. They're practical strategies anyone can implement starting today, regardless of current financial position. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly which wealth-building habits you should prioritize right now, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or beyond. You'll learn how small decisions today create exponential financial differences over time, and how to implement these powerful principles even if you're starting late. I'll also share how one of my clients used just 3 of these strategies to transform from $32,000 in debt to a 6-figure investment portfolio in under 4 years. If you're ready to stop leaving your financial future to chance and start implementing the specific strategies that create true wealth, hit the subscribe button and notification bell right now. Also, comment "Building Wealth" below so I can see who's committed to implementing these principles starting today. Let's dive into the 7 wealth-building habits that can completely transform your financial trajectory. 1. Start investing early. The single most powerful wealth-building advantage available in your 20s isn't skill, connections, or even income. It's time. When you begin investing in your 20s, you activate the near magical force of compound interest for decades longer than those who delay. This mathematical advantage alone can create wealth differences of millions of dollars by retirement age, even between people with identical incomes and saving rates. Consider the startling reality. If you invest $500 monthly beginning at age 25, earning a modest 8% average annual return, you'll accumulate approximately $1.5 million by age 65. Wait until 35 to begin that same investment strategy, and you'll reach only about $650,000. The 10-year delay costs you over $850,000 in potential wealth, more than the total amount you actually invest over your lifetime. This exponential growth explains why relatively small decisions in your 20s create enormous financial consequences decades later. Warren Buffett exemplifies this principle perfectly. Though known for his investment brilliance, Buffett's true superpower is his early start. He purchased his first stock at age 11 and had accumulated the equivalent of $84,000 in today's dollars by the time he was 21. He often states that his wealth isn't primarily due to earning astronomical returns, but rather earning solid returns consistently over an extremely long time horizon. My wealth has come from a combination of living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest, he explains. Even if you can only invest small amounts initially, begin immediately. Open a Roth IRA if you qualify. Contribute to employer retirement plans, at least to the matching level, and consider low-cost index funds for their simplicity and diversification. Remember, the goal isn't to make perfect investment choices, but to give your money the longest possible time to grow. Your most valuable asset in your 20s isn't your income. It's the 4 decades of compound growth ahead of you. Build multiple income streams. Perhaps no characteristic more consistently separates the financially successful from the financially struggling than income diversification. Those who build wealth rarely rely exclusively on a single paycheck. They systematically develop multiple revenue sources that provide both increased earnings and reduced financial vulnerability. This pattern appears so consistently among self-made millionaires that it's virtually a prerequisite for significant wealth accumulation. Thomas Corley's 5-year study of self-made millionaires revealed that 65% had at least 3 streams of income, 45% had 4 streams, and 29% had 5 or more. These additional revenue channels weren't established simultaneously, but developed gradually over time through consistent effort and strategic allocation of resources. Each new income stream not only increased their earnings, but also created protective redundancy against job loss or economic disruption. Grant Cardone, who grew from financial struggle to controlling a $1.5 billion real estate portfolio, emphasizes this principle consistently. Multiple streams of income is the only financial defense against economic downturns. In his 20s, while working in sales, Cardone systematically invested commissions into his first small apartment building, creating his second income stream through tenant rent. This seemingly modest step eventually grew into his primary wealth-building vehicle. Begin building your second income stream by identifying your skills, interests, and available resources. Options might include consulting in your professional field, creating content related to your expertise, developing a service-based side business, or investing in dividend-producing assets. Start small, but start immediately. Even an additional $200 to $300 monthly creates both financial cushion and capital for developing further income streams. Remember, the goal isn't replacing your primary income immediately, but establishing the foundation for long-term financial resilience and growth. 3. Invest in yourself. While most 20-somethings focus exclusively on external investments or immediate consumption, the financially successful understand that their greatest appreciating asset is themselves, their knowledge, skills, capabilities, and connections. They systematically invest time, energy, and resources in personal development, recognizing that enhancing their human capital generates returns that dwarf any traditional investment vehicle. Your earning capacity over a lifetime represents your most valuable financial asset by orders of magnitude. A single skill that increases your income by just 10% creates hundreds of thousands in additional lifetime earnings. A capability that enables entrepreneurship or advancement to senior roles can generate millions in enhanced lifetime wealth. Yet most people invest more time researching their next phone purchase than strategically developing skills that could exponentially increase their earning potential. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner worth over $2 billion, attributes his success largely to his lifelong learning habit established in his 20s. "I have known no wise people who didn't read all the time, none, zero," he states. "You'd be amazed at how much Warren reads, and at how much I read. My children laugh at me. They think I'm a book with a couple of legs sticking out." This intellectual development created the foundation for his extraordinary investment insights and wealth accumulation. Unlike modern education focused on specific vocational skills, Paideia emphasized the holistic cultivation of excellence, intellectual capacity, and ethical judgment. This broader development created not just specific abilities, but the foundational capacity to learn, adapt, and excel across diverse circumstances, precisely what modern economic conditions require. Begin your self-investment strategy by allocating at least 1 hour daily and 10% of discretionary income towards strategic personal development. Focus on 3 categories: skills directly enhancing your market value in your current field, knowledge expanding your financial intelligence, and capabilities enabling entrepreneurship or income diversification. Remember, unlike external investments that can be lost through market fluctuations, what you develop within yourself generates returns for decades and cannot be taken away. Master money management. While most financial advice focuses exclusively on earning more, the wealthy recognize that income means nothing without the ability to properly allocate, protect, and multiply those resources. They don't necessarily budget more strictly than others. They budget more intelligently, ensuring their money systematically builds wealth rather than funding lifestyle inflation or temporary pleasures. The fundamental principle that separates effective money managers from the financially struggling isn't extreme frugality or deprivation. It's understanding that every dollar has a job, either providing immediate value or building future wealth. This purposeful allocation ensures that increasing income actually translates to increasing net worth, rather than simply expanding consumption to absorb additional resources. One of the clearest examples comes from NBA star Shaquille O'Neal, who nearly went bankrupt early in his career despite earning millions. After receiving crucial financial guidance, he completely restructured his approach to money management. "I lost a lot of money in the beginning because I wasn't educated," he explains. "I spent the first $1 million in 30 minutes. O'Neal later developed such effective money management habits that his post-basketball investments and businesses have significantly exceeded his substantial NBA earnings. The traditional Japanese budgeting system of kakeibo offers valuable wisdom here. Dating back to 1904, this methodical approach encourages reflection before spending through 4 key questions. Can I live without this item? Based on my financial situation, can I afford it? Will I actually use it? Do I have the space for it? This reflective process naturally aligns spending with true priorities rather than impulses. Implement effective money management through 3 foundational practices. First, automatically direct at least 20% of income to investment accounts before it reaches your checking account, making wealth building your first expense rather than your last. Second, track all expenditures for 30 days without judgment to identify unconscious spending patterns and reallocate resources toward higher priorities. Third, establish separate accounts for distinct financial purposes: emergency savings, short-term goals, long-term investments, to prevent mental accounting errors that undermine wealth building. Remember, mastering money management doesn't require mathematical sophistication. It requires intentionality about where your resources go. 5. Build a strong network. Perhaps no factor more consistently influences your long-term financial trajectory than the people with whom you regularly associate. Your social environment shapes your financial mindset, behaviors, opportunities, and perceived possibilities more powerfully than any book, course, or video ever could. The wealthy understand this dynamic intimately and deliberately cultivate relationships with those who expand rather than limit their financial growth potential. The research is unequivocal. Your income tends to mirror the average income of your 5 closest friends. Your investing behavior, spending habits, financial beliefs, and even ambition level are dramatically influenced by your peer group. This social contagion effect explains why certain environmental changes, like moving to high-opportunity cities or joining success-oriented organizations, often trigger substantial financial improvements, regardless of specific strategies employed. Consider how Mark Zuckerberg's trajectory changed when he connected with Sean Parker, who introduced him to Silicon Valley investors and mentors. Though Zuckerberg possessed extraordinary technical skills, his network exponentially accelerated Facebook's development and his personal wealth creation. The biggest risk is not taking any risk, Zuckerberg reflects. In a world that's changing quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. This perspective itself was shaped through his exposure to successful entrepreneurs. The ancient Jewish practice of chavruta, partnership learning, offers profound insight here. For centuries, Jewish communities have emphasized studying sacred texts not in isolation, but in partnerships, recognizing that interaction with another person accelerates learning and expands perspective. This same principle applies to financial growth. We develop most rapidly when regularly engaging with others who challenge and elevate our thinking. Begin strategically building your network by identifying groups where financially successful people gather. Professional associations, investment clubs, entrepreneurial communities, or education-oriented events. Approach these environments not with neediness, but with genuine curiosity and value to offer. Remember, meaningful connections form through authentic shared interests and mutual contribution, not financial extraction. As your network expands, your financial perspective, opportunities, and resources will naturally grow in parallel. 6. Take smart risks. The wealthy recognize an uncomfortable truth that most people avoid. Significant wealth creation requires calculated risk-taking. Playing it completely safe, choosing only guaranteed outcomes, guarantees mediocre financial results, regardless of your talents, education, or work ethic. Your 20s represent the ideal time for strategic risk-taking when you have minimal obligations, maximum resilience, and the longest possible timeline to recover from potential setbacks. This doesn't mean reckless gambling or speculation. Rather, it means methodically pursuing opportunities with asymmetric risk-reward profiles. Situations where the potential upside substantially exceeds the potential downside. These opportunities exist across multiple domains: entrepreneurship, career changes, investments, relocations, additional education, or specialized skill development. What unites them is the willingness to accept temporary uncertainty for potentially outsized returns. Sarah Blakely exemplifies this principle perfectly. After failing the LSAT twice and abandoning her law school plans, she spent 7 years selling fax machines while developing her Spanx prototype in the evenings. At 29, she invested her entire $5,000 in savings to patent her idea and create product samples despite universal rejection from established manufacturers. This calculated risk, investing limited capital in a unique solution to a widespread problem, eventually created her billion-dollar fortune. The traditional Japanese concept of yaridama offers valuable perspective here. This term describes the decisive moment when an archer releases the arrow, knowing it cannot be recalled. Japanese archery teaches that success comes not from eliminating risk, but from meticulous preparation, followed by decisive action without hesitation. This mental model, thorough preparation followed by committed execution, characterizes how the wealthy approach risk-taking in business and investment decisions. Begin implementing strategic risk-taking by identifying potential opportunities with asymmetric upside. These might include negotiating for promotion or training rather than accepting standard career paths, starting a low-capital side business related to your expertise, or investing in specialized skills that create unique market value. Remember, your greatest advantage in your 20s isn't your knowledge, talent, or resources, it's your recovery time. You can afford to take calculated risks because you have decades to leverage successes and recover from setbacks. 7. Stop procrastinating. Take action. Perhaps the most profound difference between those who create wealth and those who merely dream about it lies not in knowledge, circumstances, or even strategy, but in their relationship with action. The financially successful aren't necessarily smarter, luckier, or more privileged, but they consistently transform intention into implementation, while others remain trapped in perpetual preparation and planning. This action orientation manifests not as reckless impulsivity, but as bias toward movement and iteration. They understand that imperfect action creates learning and opportunity, while perfect planning produces nothing tangible. When encountering new information or opportunities, they default to asking, "How can I apply this immediately?" rather than, "How can I learn more about this eventually?" This subtle distinction creates extraordinary differences in outcomes over time. Jeff Bezos embodies this principle through his regret minimization framework, developed in his late 20s when deciding whether to leave his secure Wall Street job to start Amazon. "I knew that when I was 80, I was not going to regret having tried this. I was not going to regret trying to participate in this thing called the internet that I thought was going to be a really big deal. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not ever having tried." This decision to act rather than wait created one of history's greatest fortunes. The ancient wisdom of Hillel the Elder captures this principle perfectly. If not now, when? For centuries, this question has challenged the human tendency toward endless preparation without execution. It recognizes that opportunities rarely arrive in perfect form at convenient times. They must be seized despite uncertainty and incomplete information. Begin cultivating action orientation by implementing a default to yes policy for growth opportunities, and a 2-minute rule for implementation. When encountering potentially valuable information or techniques, immediately identify the smallest possible application step and execute it within 2 minutes, whether sending an email, making a call, creating an account, or scheduling a meeting. This micro-implementation creates momentum that naturally expands to larger action. Remember, in wealth building as in physics, objects in motion tend to stay in motion. The simple act of beginning creates both practical progress and psychological commitment that inspiration alone never will. What makes these habits so powerful isn't their complexity, but their compound effect over time. Each one alone creates meaningful financial advantage, but together they form an interconnected system that dramatically accelerates wealth creation. The investments you begin compound continuously. The additional income streams provide capital for further investments. Your self-development increases earning capacity across all streams. Your network opens doors to opportunities you wouldn't otherwise encounter. Your calculated risk-taking creates breakthrough possibilities. And your bias toward action ensures you actually implement rather than merely contemplate these strategies. The most empowering aspect of these principles is their accessibility. They don't require privilege, exceptional intelligence, or extraordinary talent, just the willingness to make different choices than most people around you. Everyone faces the same fundamental decision: prioritize short-term comfort and conformity, or embrace temporary inconvenience and unconventional choices to create lasting financial freedom. Even if you're beyond your 20s, these principles remain transformative. While you can't recover the mathematical advantage of time already past, you can still implement these habits now to create the strongest possible financial future from your current position. Remember, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. I encourage you to select just one of these habits to implement immediately. Don't try to revolutionize your entire financial approach overnight. Choose the single strategy that represents your greatest opportunity for improvement and commit to consistent action in this area for the next 30 days. This focused approach creates momentum that naturally extends to other areas. If you found value in this video, please hit the like button to help YouTube's algorithm share these insights with others who might benefit. Share this with friends or family members in their 20s who have the extraordinary advantage of time still fully available to them. And if you're committed to building genuine wealth and financial freedom, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our weekly strategies for escaping financial mediocrity and creating lasting prosperity. I'd love to know which of these 7 habits you're committing to implement first. Comment below with "I'm focusing on habit #tear" and share your specific next action step. Your commitment might be exactly what inspires someone else to begin their own wealth-building journey. Remember, your financial future will be determined not by wishes, hopes, or intentions, but by the specific habits you implement consistently starting today.